Well, hi there, South Fellowship. This is Ryan Paulson, and I'm coming to you here with our video as we end our series on Elijah. But instead of looking closely at 2 Kings chapter 2, which is where we camped out on Sunday for our message, I thought I'd go into Revelation chapter 6 and verses 9 through 11, because I think that these are some of the verses that give us the best depiction of what heaven may be like. And so I'm going to spend a few minutes here because oftentimes we'll think the Bible doesn't say a whole lot about heaven, and in some ways that's right, but in other ways we might have more information than we typically think. So a lot of this information comes out of a book called Heaven by Randy Alcorn. And this is one of the best books about the subject of heaven I've ever read. For me, it was part of my therapy after my mom passed away, and it was such a huge encouragement and comfort to me, and I'm confident it will be to you too if you buy it. But let's open up to Revelation chapter 6, starting in verse 9, and I'm just going to walk through this. I'm not going to do a whole lot of pictures or diagrams. I just want to walk through this and make some observations with you, and my hope is that it's an encouragement to your soul. And it says, when he hears Jesus, opened the fifth seal, this is John who's recording, this is a divine vision he gets of heaven. He says, I saw under the altar the souls. So I saw souls. And he's going to tell us who he saw. The souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony that they had maintained. So just a few things that we see. One, these are people who have given their life for the sake of the gospel, but there's continuity between the life that they lived on earth, they were slain, and the life that they now live in heaven. So who they were on earth is who they are in heaven. That there's something about them, the testimony that they had, that still resonated in the heavenly realms. Verse 10, they called out in a loud voice. So there's some sort of healing that's happened, right? That they've been restored. We don't know if they have, what type of a body they have, what type of a soul-ish spiritual body that they have in heaven, but whatever type of body they have, it's no longer broken or slain, it's restored. How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood? Now here's what's going on. How long? So they've been waiting, presumably. In heaven, they have the ability to question God. They have the ability to talk to God. In heaven, how long, this idea of time is a thing in heaven, because how long, and then they're going to be told to wait. And so we see all these things about heaven that we maybe you were taught didn't exist. I didn't think we would have unanswered questions in heaven, but they do. I didn't think time would be a thing in heaven, but it is. And so we start to see all these things as we read one of the only passages that we have about this throne room of heaven and people that are there, not just angelic beings and not just God, but people that are there. Then I heard each of them was given a white robe. Now, we're not so sure if this is what type of a robe this is, because we know that these are souls, and so a white robe, maybe it's symbolic, maybe they have some sort of physicality that's attached to their existence. We're not exactly sure. Each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait. So here's that time thing again in heaven, to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and their sisters, were were killed just as they had been. So their question is how long, and God's answer is wait. Their question is about evil and about justice and about God avenging their blood. Their questions are similar to the questions that we have for God. God, why do these bad things happen on earth? God, what in the world are you up to? God, when are you going to put an end to it? That those questions are still being asked in heaven. Now, for some of you, you may go, I'm not sure I like that. But if there's no questions, there's also no growth. There's no learning. There's no exploring. There's no changing, which are some of the best parts about being alive. And so, I don't know, when I look at these people in heaven who are still asking questions of God, there's something in me that just goes, well, yeah, sure. I don't know if it'd be heaven if we just automatically knew the answers to everything. Part of paradise is growing, learning, exploring, and changing. So just a number of things that point out, it seems as though people in heaven can see what's going on earth, that they are, in a sense, bound to the same time that earth is bound to. Heaven's not outside of time. There's questions that people ask in heaven. There's healing that people have experienced in heaven. In heaven, people are who they were, but they're without sin. They're without sin, but they're also still incomplete. They're still growing. And in the sermon that I preached yesterday, I reminded us that that's the same thing that happened with Jesus. Jesus was sinless, and yet it says in the book of Luke, he grew in wisdom and stature with God and man. And it says in the book of Hebrews that he learned obedience through the things that he suffered. So he's growing in wisdom and he's learning even though he's sinless. So we will be sinless in heaven, but we will not be complete, and we will have all of eternity to continue to learn and grow and explore and change. And remember, heaven is great, but it's not the end of the world. One day, there will be a resurrection, physical bodies on a physical earth, and that's where we spend eternity doing all these same things. In addition to that, serving and ruling with God. Anyway, hope that's an encouragement to you today. I really would recommend you hop online and watch or listen to the whole sermon that we gave at the end of our Elijah series. It's called Going Home, 2 Kings chapter 2. All right, South, have a great rest of your day. God bless.